Hey Nintendo, I believe it was a former CEO of yours who once said,
"What's wrong with you?"
Nintendo's always been a stickler when it comes to community contributions. Anytime they try to just give back by putting something out there that would convenience Nintendo in a lot of ways, their response is to spit on their faces when all the community's trying to do is put an effort into keeping a game alive, to keeping a community, a thriving community, alive and continuing to thrive. So the latest controversy surrounding Nintendo is about Super Smash Bros. Melee and Splatoon. This is information relayed by news outlet .esports among many other outlets. So right off the bat, you can read from the headline, Nintendo shuts down the Big House Online Super Smash Bros. Event with cease and desist. Now, this is obviously an older story from November 19th, 2020, but the stuff happening right now with the Splatoon 2 competitive scene directly ties into what went on with the Smash Bros. Competitive scene a month ago. So stay tuned for that. The controversy surrounding this event revolves around a mod called Slippi mod. The article states, for the first time since the Slippi mod was introduced in full to the competitive Super Smash Bros. Scene last year, Nintendo has sent a cease and desist to a tournament using it to run an online event. Slippi mod, for those who don't know, is a mod for Super Smash Bros. Melee that essentially allows players to play with each other online, a feature that was not there when Melee first launched way back in, what was it, 2001? And this is how a lot of players have been able to play with each other, especially during a time when gathering socially is not particularly safe due to an ongoing pandemic. And then the article continues, the Big House, one of the largest yearly Smash events, will no longer be hosting its online tournament after Nintendo of America revoked its permission to host or broadcast the event, the organizer announced today. And right here is a tweet from the Big House. So let's take a look at that. The statement reads, the Big House is heartbroken to share we have received a cease and desist from Nintendo of America to cancel our upcoming online event. We were informed we do not have permission to host or broadcast the event, primarily due to the usage of Slippi. Sadly, all our competitions are affected. We are forced to comply with the order and cancel the Big House Online for both Melee and Ultimate. Refund information will be sent out shortly. We apologize to all those impacted. And just to show you how much traction this story gained and what a big deal the Big House is for the Smash Bros. Community, there are 66,000 likes, 12.2 thousand quote tweets, and 7.2 thousand retweets on this post alone. And going through the comments here, you can see that the community is united in solidarity and expressing their frustration against Nintendo. A prominent Super Smash Bros. Pro player, Leffen, chimed in by saying Nintendo shooting itself in the foot, just like EVO 2013. Sadly, at this point, I am far from surprised. Just incredibly sad that they would do such a thing. Nintendo is going out of its way to hurt our community yet again while trying to play nice and invite us to market their new games. It's baffling how stupid and greedy they are. And the sentiment that this is far from surprising is unfortunate. Nintendo has done stuff like this in the past, and so you get to see a number of people saying nobody's surprised by any of this. This is just how Nintendo's always been. It's always been their way or the highway. It'd be one thing if any of these endeavors would directly hurt Nintendo or the community, but this is the opposite of that. The Slippi mod allows these players to come together as a community and play the game and bring more attention to these titles. And while I get that the Slippi mod isn't an official Nintendo product or officially affiliated with Nintendo, it is ultimately a great contribution to the Smash Brothers community and environment. And for Nintendo to go as far as cease and desisting a tournament because of their usage of this mod, which would greatly assist in this tournament, given the current landscape around the world, like, why are you like this? And it's not as if Nintendo's providing their own solution for Melee Online functionality for this game that's 20 years old. Oh my god, this game's 20 years old. But yeah, Nintendo hasn't been supporting Melee per se, and it's not as if this is going to cause Nintendo to lose on sales because Melee isn't really on sale anymore. So, let the community kind of do their thing with this. The creator of the Slippi mod also chimed in saying, #FreeMelee, Big House has been denied the ability to run an online event. With Slippi Online, I've worked hard to create as close to an authentic in-person experience as possible. The Melee community has been clear in expressing their gratitude. It has enabled competing in and watching top-level competition without requiring risky gatherings. I'm disappointed that Nintendo is restricting our ability to power through these hard times. Like, what does Nintendo want? For Melee players to gather in one place and risk potentially spreading the virus? Like, this is a great way to mitigate this, and the community has handed Nintendo this solution on a silver platter. They're asking for nothing in return except to just let them run these events peacefully and contribute positively to the community and to the games that they love from Nintendo. And Nintendo's rejecting that, and beyond rejecting that, just spitting in their faces. It's so bizarre, and I've just never seen a company going so far out of its way to basically take a dump on their community and their positive endeavors. Now, Nintendo did provide a response, and it was all basically empty platitudes. They said Nintendo appreciates the love and dedication the fighting game community has for the Super Smash Bros. Series. Really? Could have fooled me. We have partnered with numerous Super Smash Bros. Tournaments in the past and have hosted our own online and offline tournaments for the game, and we plan to continue that support in the future. Unfortunately, the upcoming Big House tournament announced plans to host an online tournament for Super Smash Bros. Melee that requires the use of illegally copied versions of the game in conjunction with a mod called Slippi during their online event. Nintendo therefore contacted the tournament organizers to ask them to stop. They refused, leaving Nintendo no choice but to step in to protect its intellectual property and brands. Nintendo cannot condone or allow piracy of its intellectual property. So here's the thing, from a legal standpoint, Nintendo is probably right. They could probably win this case if they took it to court, but they're acting as if all of this would harm Nintendo in some way when people are just coming up with creative solutions to an unfortunate circumstance. This year, that is 2020, it has offered a number of challenges, and Nintendo talks about their own online tournaments, but Super Smash Bros. Melee isn't a game that has online features, and so the community has come up with their own solution on that front. Only Smash Bros. Ultimate and Brawl have online features, and even then, Nintendo's online ecosystem isn't particularly the beacon of example. I've seen a lot of people talk about how the Slippi mod actually works better than Nintendo's own online infrastructure. Another element to this is that the Slippi mod is a mod for the Dolphin emulator that allows players to run ROMs of GameCube titles like Super Smash Bros. Melee, and it's that environment that Nintendo is against. But the way they say, oh, these are illegally copied versions of the game and we got to protect our intellectual property and brands, we do not condone or allow piracy of intellectual property, they are acting as if these players are out to steal their game, to get a free copy of the game or something along those lines, when most of these people likely own a legal copy of Super Smash Bros. Again, legally speaking, Nintendo is probably within their rights to claim all this and do all this. They would probably win that court case, but morally speaking, and just from a PR standpoint, they're ruining something good is what's going on. Now, going back to the .esports article, it is mentioned how it's unclear why they made this decision now rather than with one of the other large Melee tournaments that have used Slippi over the last several months. Though the article assumes, and I agree with this assessment, that the Big House Online was specifically targeted because Nintendo was partnering with the event organizers to support the tournament. So on an official capacity, Nintendo wants to distance themselves from the Slippi mod. It is their intellectual property, and Nintendo is free to do what they want on that front, but they can also choose to just allow them to do it if they so desire. You know, they don't have to put a cease and desist out there. They don't have to pursue this legally if they don't want to. The fact that they are, despite the fact that this isn't intended to harm Nintendo and wouldn't harm Nintendo or the community, That's what's really baffling here. Now, as you might expect, Nintendo garnered a whole lot of backlash from this mass protest from the Smash Brothers community. Again, just seeing how far and wide this tweet alone has spread. And Leffen's tweet, 10,000 likes. And this individual's tweet, the creator of Slippi, 23.8 thousand likes. The backlash here was pretty bad. And Nintendo has only doubled down with how they're now handling Splatoon 2, their NA open stream, after the Splatoon community gathered and showed support in solidarity with the Smash Brothers community, who were kind of screwed over by Nintendo on this front. So this is a more recent article from .esports from December 5th, 2020, just yesterday, as of the publishing of this video. The headline reads, Nintendo cancels Splatoon NA open stream after teams use hashtag free Melee names in support of Super Smash Bros. Melee community. So protest isn't just happening in the comment section. People who are attending Nintendo tournaments are updating their team names with hashtags asking Nintendo to free Melee and allow the community to let the game thrive, and for Nintendo to just stop shooting themselves in the foot. So it reads right here, Nintendo canceled the live stream for its Splatoon 2 North America Open event today after over 30% of the competing teams had names showing support for the Melee community. Not a bad turnout at all for this form of protest. The company cited unexpected executional challenges as the reasoning for the stream's cancellation. Several players and tournament organizers directly pointed to the team's open support for the Melee community as the cause for Nintendo's decision. Nintendo's trying to keep their reasoning very vague as to not draw attention to the protests that they're facing from the Smash Brothers community and now the Splatoon community, but players and tournament organizers are straight up saying, no, this is directly tied to how the Splatoon community is expressing support to the Smash Brothers community after they got screwed over. This reminds me a lot of how Blizzard responded when the whole Blitzchung debacle played out, when J. Allen Brack took the stage at BlizzCon. Instead of directly referencing the events, he said a tough esports moment in very vague terms so that people who don't know what's going on don't really learn any additional information. And that's kind of what Nintendo's doing here by saying unexpected executional challenges rather than, oh, the protests that we're facing because we screwed the pooch on a major Smash Brothers tournament. So yeah, this is just a typical corporate response here, a typical PR statement that really just feels hollow and empty. And this story has also gained plenty of traction. So this is Slimy, who is a Splatoon 2 and Smash Brothers tournament organizer and commentator. This tweet gathered 29.7 thousand likes, 2.5 thousand quote tweets, and 6,000 retweets. Slimy said, so the Splatoon community, in support of the Smash community, has 30% of the top teams in this weekend's Splatoon NA Open with team names in support of Melee and Smash. So what does Nintendo do in response? They canceled their live stream for tomorrow's finals. Nintendo just full-on went the nuclear option with the big event, the finals of the Splatoon tournament. Slimy then added, kind of funny that they'll sever their own support that they love to parade around as something so fantastic just because the Splatoon community wanted to stand in solidarity with the other scenes that Nintendo outright harms. Basically, Nintendo doesn't want to give these people a platform to peacefully protest against Nintendo's decision when it comes to the Big House Smash tournament. Slimy finally concludes with, to be clear, this is Nintendo's call, not any of the tournament organizers or broadcasters they have enlisted for the weekend. This is damage control and an outright spit in the face of all of their dedicated competitive scenes, but we ain't surprised, LOL. Another form of protest that has been seen is people copying and pasting one particular message on the Nintendo of America Open Discord, which reads as follows. And I'm going to read this dramatically because it's a satirically dramatic statement here. The year's 20XX. Every official stream online has 0 views because grassroots organizations have usurped all esports streams. Nintendo's destitute and broke. Their only source of income is through taxing sold copies of Melee, CRTs, and GameCubes. Society has evolved to the point that with a cybernetic implant, you can connect directly to netplay and shine on your opponent while broadcasting free of a DMCA complaint and a cease and desist letter from Nintendo. Doug Bowser is the last living human without an implant and is found cold and naked. wondering why everyone is constantly talking about wave dashes. Hashtag free melee. That's a hell of a cyberpunk storyline. And you can see right here, somebody tweeted a video showing, scrolling down through the Discord server, all the copying and pasting that has been going on with this message. They're kind of done with Nintendo's attitude towards the thriving competitive scene surrounding Nintendo games that would thrive further if Nintendo would just let them contribute to the scene. But when they try to contribute with mods like Slippi, which are not really harmful, again, to Nintendo or the community, Nintendo, all they do is spit back and kind of take a dump on them, instead of just allowing something good to happen, even if it's unexpected or kind of out of the norm. And this is Nintendo's biggest detriment. It's just how rigid they are in their ways, to the point where they cannot see past their own nose. They cannot see that community contribution can be a very good thing. It's always got to be Nintendo's way. But Nintendo's way is not always right. In fact, it's often wrong. But they're a stubborn bunch. They're a stubborn company. I love Nintendo games, but there are certain decisions that they make that are utterly baffling. There are aspects of Nintendo's corporate culture that has never sat right with me, and it's a shame to see that Nintendo just doesn't seem to be changing for the better on this front. And hopefully, all of this protesting, all of this backlash will lead to Nintendo realizing that, you know, they need to start valuing their community more and their contributions more. And they need to understand that sometimes they need to be flexible, and they just need to work with the community. It needs to be a two-way street. But Nintendo's never really been known for that. It's, again, always their way or the highway. It's always a one-way street, and it cannot work that way. If you want to establish a healthy relationship between yourself, the developers, and the community, if you all want to harmonize together. But yeah, this is what's going on right now with Nintendo, the protests surrounding some of their titles, the competitive scene. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on all of these developments, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.